Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to sew this Bubu dress with a front slit and a tight front waist. This sewing project is very beginner friendly, and so if you're starting out, it's going to be something that's very easy for you. So in case you're interested in learning this, make sure to watch the video till the end. Alright, let's get right into the video. So we're going to start out by cutting the back piece. And as you can see, I've put my fabric on fold. And to find out how much to put on fold, this is how we do it. You'll be getting half of your shoulder measurements, which is 7 in this case, plus the sleeve length. I used 10 inches and that includes the sewing allowance as well. I'll be using the full piece for my full length. So we shall go ahead and start drafting the back neckline, which is going to be 3 inches for me. So we shall just go ahead and mark that. And then we shall mark 2 inches at the bottom. Then we shall draw in our neckline curve. So I'm not using the curve ruler in this case because the material is very light and so it's hard to make markings on it. Anyways, yeah, we're done with that part. So the next thing is we're going to measure our shoulder to bust, which is 11 inches for me. So I'll just go ahead and mark that. And then I'll just draw a line. So back to the shoulder line, remember we already marked out our sleeve length. And so at that point, we shall just go down by 1 inch. And then we shall join the neckline to that point and draw in our shoulder slope. And so after we're done with that, from that point, we're going to go down and measure our sleeve opening. My sleeve opening is 9 inches plus 1 inch of sewing allowance, which is 10. And so then I'll just go ahead and mark that point. You can use about 8 inches or less if you want a smaller sleeve opening. So mine ended up lining up with my bust line. So next we're going to be measuring a quarter of our bust measurements, which is 9 for me, plus 4 inches of ease. Then next from the shoulder point, we shall measure our hip line, which is 28 inches for me. So I'll just go ahead and mark the points. And then on my hip line, I'm going to measure a quarter of the hip circumference plus 4 inches of ease. And then I'll just transfer the hip measurement all the way down to the bottom of the hemline. You can also make your hemline circumference smaller for a more fitted look. And so after I'm done with that, I'm just going to join the points just like that. But first we shall just draw a straight line along the sleeve. And then for the next part, we're just going to curve it in like that, just like you see in the video. It should line up with the bust measurements that we marked out. And then we shall just connect the rest of the points, just like you see in the video. Like I told you earlier, I'm using freehand because the material is very light, and so it's hard to make markings. So anyways, I've gone ahead to pin down the different parts. And so I'm just going to cut out the back, just like you see in the video. And so that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to keep this because I'm going to be using it for the belt later. So next we're going to be cutting out the front piece. And just like you see, I've put it on fold. I've also marked out 1 inch at the center, just like you see in the video. And I've done that for the full length of the piece. So we shall then get the back piece and then we shall use it to cut out the front piece. We shall line it up at that 1 inch line that we drew in. And after we are done, we shall make sure we pin it down just like you've seen in the video in order for it to stay in place. Then we shall draw in our original shoulder line and then we're going to just cut out all of it exactly like the back piece. So after we are done with that, we shall then take out the pins and remove the back piece from the front piece. Actually, before that, we shall first mark out the top of our neckline, which was 3 inches. You can always still just measure directly from that 1 inch mark, and that's 3 inches. And so for the depth of the neckline, we shall do 3.5 inches, just like you see in the video. And then we shall draw in our curve. And we shall mark it out all around, just like you see in the video. After we're done, we shall just cut out that neckline. So like I told you earlier, we shall remove the back piece and stay with the front. So at the front, we're first going to put back that part that we cut, and then we're going to measure the depth of our neckline, just like that. and this is for the V part. So we're going to be putting it at 7.5 inches, just like that. And then next we shall be measuring where the slit is going to start. So from my shoulder to that point was 35 inches. You can make yours higher or lower depending on your preference. And so from that first mark to the other slit mark, we're going to stitch down along the 1 inch line. And after we're done doing that, we shall be separating the center line. So because this material is light, I'm going to just spin it down to make sure it stays in place while I sew. So at this point, I finished sewing in that part. As you can see in the video, I didn't stitch that upper part. I only stitched from that point to that point where the slit starts, and then I left the slit open. So I'm just going to take out the pins and then I'll be separating the center. As you can see in the video, I've already finished separating the two pieces. And then next thing is we shall fold in that part on one side and then press it with a flat iron and do the same for the opposite side. And actually it's much easier when you press it while it's in this position. So that's what it will look like. So as you can see in the video, there's an opening at the bottom of the neckline, and then also at the bottom of the dress, there's a slit opening. Make sure to go and overlock those raw edges to ensure that it's neat. So I'm just going to turn it to the right side so that you see what it looks like as well. You can already see that the design is starting to come together. So as you can see, I'm already done with overlocking the raw edges. So moving on, we shall be applying binding to the neckline, and we shall be starting from the right side. We shall first start by folding in a small piece of the binding, just like you see in the video, and then we shall place it exactly at that opening and make sure the two folds line up exactly like that, and then we shall stitch down by 1/4 inch all the way around. So that's what it's going to look like when you're done with that. Let me just turn it to the right side so you can see it clearly. So that's exactly what it looks like. As you can see, that part is folded in, and also that other part is folded in. And so we're just going to turn it to the wrong side and fully pull it to that other side so that it's not visible on the right side. And so once it's not visible on the right side, we shall then go and sew it down at the bottom of the binding. So as you can see in the video, I'm done doing that on both sides. That's what it should look like on the wrong side. And then on the right side, there shouldn't be any binding that's visible, just like you see in the video. In order to keep those pieces in place, we're going to stitch on each side, and then we shall stop at that point, exactly where the opening stops. And then we shall also move down and repeat the same process. We shall stitch from that point of the opening all the way down, and then we shall also go to the other side and stitch from that point all the way down. So we're also going to bind the back neckline, and just like you've seen, we've started off on the right side, and then after that we shall turn it to the other side and then stitch it down, just like we did on the front piece. And so by the time we're done, the binding won't be visible on the right side. So I'll just go ahead and stitch it down. At this point, I've already finished stitching it down. I'm now going to go ahead and cut off those extra bits. And then using a flat iron, we shall also press down the neckline so that it can relax. So moving forward, we're going to place the back piece just like that. Then we shall place the front piece on top of it, right sides facing each other. Then we shall make sure to align the pieces properly. When we're done, we're just going to go ahead and sew in the shoulders by 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. At this point, I've already finished doing the sewing. As you can see in the video, I've also gone ahead to overlock those raw edges. I also went on to open up the sleeves just like that, and then I hemmed it, as you can see in the video. After this, we shall first move on to the belts. My pieces were 3 inches wide and 30 inches long. You can choose to make yours wider, like maybe 4 inches, and then for the length, just make sure that it can be able to tie around your back. So moving forward, we're just going to fold the pieces like that, and then we shall be stitching all throughout like that, and then we shall be coming down and closing off the other side, and then we shall leave one side open. So right now I've finished sewing it, and this is what it looks like. I've sewed it all the way to that point. So now we're going to turn it inside out, and we're just going to use a pencil in this case. And so after we're done with that, we shall then go and press it down to make it look neater, and then it will be looking like this other one by the time we're done. And then at that point we shall overlock the raw edges. And so to find the positioning for the belt, just open up the front piece on the wrong side, and then we're going to measure from the shoulder all the way to the waist. In this case, I'm using my high waist, which is 16 inches. Then we shall make sure we mark it on the other side as well. So right now, I'm just trying to make the marks more visible. If you're able to, you can just draw a straight line using a ruler. And so from the center, we're going to mark 1/4 of our waist measurements plus 1 inch. And then from the other side, we shall mark out the same measurement. I'm now just trying to make the line more visible for you. But yes, at those 2 points is where we're going to place the belts. So I'm just going to pin down the belts into the positions, just like you see in the video, and make sure you're only sewing this to the front piece. And so we shall just go and stitch them down. So at this point, I've already finished doing that, just like you see in the video. The belts will be tied around your back. So moving on, we're going to place the back and the front together, right sides facing each other, just like that. And then we're going to be stitching the sides all the way from the sleeve to the bottom. And we shall be repeating this on both sides. So at this point, I'm already done with that. As you can see, I've stitched down both of the side seams. And I also went ahead to do the overlocking of the raw edges, just like you see in the video. So lastly, we're going to just hem the bottom, and at this point I already finished doing that. And so that's it for the dress. Just make sure you press down all the seams, and then we shall be turning it to the right side, and that's what it looks like. So yes, if this video was helpful, make sure to leave a like and a comment. If you have any questions, leave that in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in such content. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.